Hi, it's Eleanor Hayes from Birthzang here, and I want to talk briefly about how you can keep a really healthy placenta during your pregnancy. Now, it's not something we always think about. We think about being healthy in ourselves, but in fact, the placenta is going to be feeding off our general health and taking the oxygen and nutrients that the baby needs and delivering them to the baby. So it's also worth considering what we can do to ensure that the placenta can work as best as it can and be as healthy as possible during our pregnancy. Now, in fact, the placenta is an incredibly powerful organ, and it does a really good job of filtering out all kinds of things from the bloodstream to protect the baby and make sure it's only getting the things that it needs. So all of the nutrients that it needs and all of the oxygen. However, what we can do is follow a healthy regime to ensure that we're giving our whole body and our placenta the best chance. So what are the kind of things we can do? Nothing completely unexpected, but useful to mention all of them. So first of all, let's think about diet. So it's always going to be useful during pregnancy to have a healthy, balanced diet. So we want to make sure we're getting all the vitamins that we need and all the minerals, not only for ourselves, but also for our baby. So always having good, fresh fruit and vegetables, organic, if you can access that or afford it, is always going to be nice because that helps minimize any potential toxins going in. And good quality meat and fish if you eat those, and trying to minimize junk food and processed food because they're things that contain chemicals and all kinds of weird stuff, and they often have effects on the body. So having a good balanced diet, trying to cook the food from scratch if you can, that just really ensures that you know exactly what you're getting. We also know that sometimes we can't quite get all of the vitamins we need. And so if you felt that you needed some kind of supplementation, there are pregnancy vitamins that you can get, so either in drops or tablet form, and they can be quite useful if you feel that you are depleted and not getting enough. Also, you would be regularly tested, certainly in the UK, for anemia, which is to do with your iron content. So if you have low iron levels, it can make you feel very tired, very exhausted, and sometimes a bit depressed. And so if you are showing low iron levels, you may be offered some pills to supplement. But as usual with most vitamins and minerals, lots of them can be gained from dark green leafy vegetables. And it's always worth going on Google and saying, how can I increase my magnesium levels or iron levels or whatever it is that you think that you need to boost, and you will very easily find lists of the foods that will be able to provide those things. They're often things like nuts and seeds and vegetables. So then what we also want to do is make sure we're well hydrated. That means from a water point of view. So if you're drinking lots of sugary, fizzy drinks, that's not really going to give you a lot of benefits. It's going to give you a lot of sugar, so it will hydrate you, but it's also going to give you a lot of stuff as well. So keeping well hydrated, and that doesn't mean drinking too much, but it just means making sure that your urine is always pale yellow, and that you don't feel thirsty, because that is the best indicator of how much you need to drink. The other thing that we can do is consider exercise, because the placenta is influenced by the blood systems in the body, of course, because it's related to the circulatory system. So when we do exercise, walking and not kind of vigorous exercise, but just like exercise that gets your heart rate moving, means that the circulatory system is stimulated, and then that's going to stimulate the circulation within the placenta as well, and it's going to get the benefits from the extra oxygenation that you get from that. Now, there's always a bit of caution with vigorous exercise in pregnancy, and if, for example, you've never run in your life, pregnancy is not the time to start running. However, it's fine usually to continue the exercise that you've done previous to that, we would just advise not to introduce new vigorous exercise into your daily routine or weekly. And if you have any concerns about that or not really quite sure, the best thing to do is to ask your midwife if there's a specific thing that you wanted to take up. So if you wanted to start doing Pilates or yoga, something like that, that was a specific pregnancy one, that would probably be fine and not need the doctor's kind of like viewpoint on that. But if you were thinking about doing running or taking up cycling or something like that, you might find that you want to have a chat with them about the ways that you can make sure that you do that safely. So being hydrated, having good exercise, good balanced healthy diet are 3 really key ways that we can help the placenta stay healthy. But the other thing we have to think about as well is what we don't want to go through to the baby. And so there are already guidelines about what to eat, what not to eat in pregnancy. There are certain foods that you're advised to avoid because they can have a harmful effect on a baby if you end up with a bad result from it. So for example, we're usually advised to avoid eating soft blue cheese because there's a chance that you can get listeria, which isn't particularly harmful to the mother, but can be extremely harmful to the baby. So we want to safeguard our baby. Even though there's a tiny chance of that happening, most people choose to eliminate that from their diet. But also there are other toxins that we consume that can go through the placenta barrier, although sometimes in very small quantities, and the placenta is an extremely effective filter. But why would we try to make it harder for the placenta to access the good stuff and filter out the bad stuff? So the general rule is to kind of minimize caffeine intake. This also has an impact on your iron levels as well. So if you're drinking lots of caffeine, it can prevent you from absorbing iron in your body. So even if you are eating lots of green leafy vegetables or taking supplements, the caffeine can counteract it. So it's kind of not helpful. Alcohol, of course, is another obvious one that many people avoid, and smoking as well is known to have quite a detrimental effect on the baby because the monoxidization of the blood goes through into the baby. So it's really, if you can possibly manage to avoid caffeine, alcohol and smoking, those things are going to really, really enhance your health generally, but also help you to protect your baby. So I think that having a healthy placenta is a great goal, but actually being healthy in ourselves comes absolutely hand in hand with that goal. So there's one last thing I just wanted to mention before I sign off today, and that's to do with consuming your placenta. Now, there's a variety of evidence about consuming your placenta, and it's not for this video, but some people do choose to consume their placenta, and there's quite a lot of anecdotal evidence that points towards it having beneficial qualities. I personally right now am on the fence about this topic because I don't know enough about it, and I try not to make decisions about things that I haven't done the research on properly. But what I do know is that there are ways of consuming your placenta. It can be consumed raw as part of a smoothie. It can be consumed dehydrated and made into a tablet, and also can be made into a tincture. And this can be taken postnatally. Now, if you do choose that you want to consume your placenta in any of these ways, it's extremely important to avoid the toxins part of it, particularly smoking. And there are some prescription medicines as well that can go through the placenta blood barrier into the baby and mean that it's really not advisable to consume your placenta. So make sure if you're planning to do that you're fully informed about all the things that you do. If you're on any medications, check specifically whether they have an impact. I also recommend that you don't try to prepare your placenta yourself, but you get in touch with a qualified placenta remedy specialist to ensure that it is consumed in an absolutely safe way. So I hope these tips of how to have a healthy placenta have been really useful, and please feel free to let me know in the comments the ways that you have changed your diet and exercise in order to be as healthy as you can through your pregnancy and for your placenta.